Jai Hind students, how are you? I hope you all are fine at home. So today I am going to start a new chapter of civics, chapter 1, power sharing. With this chapter, we resume the tour of democracy that we started last year. We noted last year that in a democracy, all power does not rest with any one organ of the state. And intelligent sharing of power among legislature, executive and judiciary is very important to the design of a democracy. We start with two stories from Belgium and Sri Lanka. Both these stories are about how democracies handle demands for power sharing. So first, we start with the story of Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe. It is smaller in area than the state of Haryana. It has a population of a little over 1 crore, about half the population of Haryana. Means it is very smaller than Haryana. Ethnic composition of this country is 59% in the Flemish region speaks Dutch. Another 40% people live in Wallonia region speaks French, and remaining 1% of the Belgian speaks German language. Brussels. Brussels is the capital of Belgium. So in the capital city Brussels, 80% people speak French while 20% are Dutch speakers. So if we see in overall nation of Belgium, the majority is of Dutch speakers. So Dutch speakers can take advantage of also these things. But then what will happen? It create problem of partition and many other conflicts. So Belgian leaders take decision to keep this thing in mind that they have regional and cultural diversities. So they make a constitution for their country, and according to that, all people of Belgium live together in one country. Means the constitution is, they make a constitution for their country, and in that constitution they give equal rights to all people of Belgium, whether they are Dutch speakers, French speakers, German or anyone. They give equal right to stop all these conflicts. So to make them equal, what the Belgian leaders did to stop all that conflicts, to stop all these partitions, and they try to give equality to all the people of the Belgium. So what they did, so first is, Constitution prescribes that the number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. So first they had done this. The ministers of French speaking and Dutch speaking, they will be equal in the central government. So there should be no partiality. Second is that some special laws require the support of majority of members from each linguistic group. Whenever they have to need some special laws, or for they want to pass any special law, so they need the support of majority of members of each linguistic group. Means Dutch also and French also. Not a single community take the decision. Both are equally important. So thus no single community can make decision unilaterally. Many powers of the central government were given to the state government, and state government are not subordinate to the central government. In the capital city of Belgium, that is Brussels, they has a separate government in which both the communities has equal representation. Which both communities? 80% French speakers and 20% Dutch speakers. Because in central government also they have equal representation. That's why in Brussels also, in that government, they both the communities have equal representation. The Dutch speaking community has accepted equal representation in the central government. Now there is one central government, one state government, There is one more government, that is community government. They have the power to solve the issues, that is regarding education, culture, language. So this government is also there, community government. So these are the points that what the Belgian leaders did to stop all the conflicts, to give equality to all the people of the nation, to unite them. So the conclusion is that Belgian leaders realized that the unity is possible only by respecting the feelings and interest of everyone. If they think only about Dutch or French or German, so it creates problem in their nation and it leads to partition. So that's why they decided to give power to all the communities. So that's why they live happily also and united also. So that is the story of Belgium. Now we will discuss the another story, that is the story of Sri Lanka. Now here the second story of Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka there also that different communities are there, different speakers of different languages. Regional differences are there, but same thing not happen as it happened in Belgium. So here many problems, many conflicts. So in 1948 Sri Lanka emerged as an independent nation. Population of Sri Lanka about 2 crore. Now composition, ethnic composition of Sri Lanka: 74% Sinhala community that speak Sinhala language, 18% Tamil community speaking Tamil language. Out of this 18%, 13% Sri Lankan Tamils and 5% Indian Tamils. Now Indian Tamils, those who shifted to Sri Lanka in colonial time due to plantation work. So out of this 18%, 13% Sri Lankan Tamils and 5% Indian Tamils. Now remaining 8%, that is Christians, those who speak both Sinhala and Tamil. Now here we have seen that the majority of the Sinhala speaker. Now there is a term that majoritarianism, the idea or belief that the majority community should rule the nation in whichever way they want, means here the majority of the Sinhala speakers. So here they want ki Sinhalas rule in their country. They don't want to give equal right to the other communities. They said that ki we are in that majority, so we rule in this country. Now here the majority of the Sinhala speakers, so they want to form their own government in majority. So what happened? In 1956, an act was passed in which Sinhala was made the official language, because Sinhala was in majority and Tamil was disregarded. They don't give any importance to Tamil speakers. The government made policies that favored members of Sinhala community. It also gave jobs to them only. Those who favored the Sinhala community people, only those people get the jobs. So they start creating the differences between Sinhala and Tamil speakers. Tamils protested when they realized that they are being discriminated, which soon converted into civil war. When Tamils realized that they are not discrimination happened to them and they are discriminated, so it created the condition of war, and because of that very soon that discrimination converted, that protest converted into the civil war. Many Tamils died in that war, and those who were left, they were forced to leave the nation, and citizenship to them was denied by the new laws. The civil war affected social, economic and cultural life of Sri Lankans very badly. We all know that whenever war happened, it created problem for the country only. So it affected country very badly. So we had done two story. One is of Sri Lanka and one is of Belgium. In Belgium, what happened? There are also the different speakers, but they use the method of power sharing. They give equality to all the communities to stop this condition of conflict, to stop the condition of partition. And they make the constitution to keep this thing in mind, that we have regional diversities, we have cultural diversities, so we have to give them equality. But what happened in Sri Lanka? In Sri Lanka also the Tamil speakers and Sinhala speakers, but Sinhalas were in majority. That's why they said ki we will make our government because we are in majority, and those who favored us only they have a right to live in this nation and we give them jobs. And because of this, Tamils protested and it created the situation of war. So whenever war happened, it create problem for any nation. The same thing happened in this country. I hope both the stories are clear to you. So now here I am going to wind up today's lecture. We will meet again in the next video lecture of this chapter. So prepare notes on the basis of today's lecture. Stay at home and be safe. Thank you.